Hello, Pastor Norman.
Well, good evening. Good evening. How are
Oh,
uh,
okay.
Good to
how
see
y'all?
you.
Good to see y'all.
How you doing?
Always good. Always good to see y'all.
what is they always say? Good to be seen.
Yeah, good to be seen. Yeah.
I'm hearing an echo. Do you have something
Yeah.
else on?
I had my other iPad off. I just cut it off.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad it's good to be seen.
Yep. Good to be seen. Yes, ma'am.
Have you been busy today?
I have.
Well,
doing
good.
doing
I'll
some
be
taking some stuff
good
at
business.
home. Doing some stuff at home. Then I had some church business to take care of, and then I came back and fried some fish and shrimp.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow. Well, let's see who's here tonight. Let's see who's here. And welcome, you guys. Those of you who have already come on live with us, I'm glad to have you with us. You could have gone anywhere for this hour, but you chose to spend it with us, and I am so happy that you did. And for those of you who haven't commented on the screen, welcome. I know you're out there. And we have our wonderful son in the gospel, our wonderful Pastor Norman with us again. And,
So
Hey there, everybody.
you can't hear me.
and let's see, say what?
He can't hear me.
Pastor's talking with a whisper today. And then hey, let's see who's here. Sylvia, that's Dee Dee. I always say, when I see that, it throws me off. That's Dee Dee and George. Hey, y'all. And there's Sandra. Hello, Sandra. And then there's Brother Kessler. Linda Langdon's in the house, all the way over there in Washington State. What's the weather like over there, Linda? And John Greason's in the house. Glad to have you here. And my sissy is here. My sissy and my brother-in-law. I hadn't talked to you today, this week, sissy. Have I? Since, well, it's been a while. Need to talk to you. And then there's Kathy. Hey, Kathy. Glad you guys are with us today. It's been hot. Hot. Extremely hot.
Yes.
So now, I guess this is previews of coming attractions because we are in a heat wave. The whole country's in a heat wave.
Yeah. Well, we was blessed for about 2 hours ago. We had a storm hit.
Oh, well,
So
we've
we
got
got a
we
lot
got
of rain.
crackly grass. Yeah, we need some rain. Crackly grass, flowers. I have some little flowers I put out there just withering up because it's so hot and they're in the sun all day. But
Yeah.
and Cynthia said it's their 36th anniversary today. Well, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Yeah. Linda says the weather's delicious in Washington State. It's delicious here too. It's just hot. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for a house that has air conditioning. I can get away from it if I want and come in and get cool, or I can go out there and sit in it till I get really hot. We have a choice, and I'm so grateful that we have that. I think about the people who don't have that choice. They just have to suffer with it. So my prayers for all of them. I remember when we was growing up, Lord, we didn't have air conditioning. We lived with the heat all summer. Yeah.
Fan.
Fans in the windows,
Yeah.
fans everywhere. Yeah. We had fans all through the house, and you kept the blinds drawn, curtains drawn, to keep the sun out. And I kind of liked it. It was nice. And then in the morning, it was really, really cool. So we got used to all of that stuff, didn't we?
We are now spoiled.
Very, very spoiled. In fact, I, I have anxiety when I think about the grid might crash or the power might go out. We've had that
And
happen a couple of
we're talking about that too.
Yeah. Power might go out. But anyway, we're blessed and we don't realize how blessed we are most of the time. My voice is trying to go out too. I don't know why our voices are trying to go out. But anyway, let's do our affirmation meditation. And so, yeah. Yeah, let's do it. And hopefully you're in a place or where you can do this quietly and not have a lot of distractions. Let me move my banner out of the way here. It's going to be in the way. I don't move it out the way. There we go. There we go. Let's do this. And I don't have my glasses on so I can see. Once again, this affirmation or meditation or prayer, whatever you want to call it, is simply to bring our minds into focus so that we can be more receptive. I don't know about you, but my mind's been everywhere, all over the place today. Not that we shouldn't do that. That's just being human. And but now we want to bring our minds into subjection so that we can be open to whatever is revealed to us by spirit. And baby girl's down here coughing. If you hear her, that's what you're hearing. Can you hit that button on the phone, honey, so it won't beep? Do you know how to do it?
Which one it is?
The one on the right there where your finger is.
You
and,
have
and then
two
turn it
new
on.
messages and one old
Hit it one more
message.
time.
Friday.
That's it. That's good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So now I hope you're in a spot where you have very few distractions. If not, you can always do this when you get into your quiet time. I like this particular affirmation because it really causes you to leave the sense world in that you do not relate only to yourself as a mind or a body, and it brings you all the way home. So if you would take a deep breath in and release it. Take another deep breath in, if you would, and release it now, and let all residual tension go with it. All concerns, all aspirations, all desires for the moment, just set them aside and go deeply within, turn deeply within to find that essential part of yourself, that God part of yourself. And I want you to speak directly from that God part of yourself, that part that is not disturbed, it is not wanting. It's simply here at attention. It's aware. You are aware. You can listen to this or you can repeat it after me, whichever is easiest for you. I cannot become, for I already am what I desire to become. Only the body dies. What I am cannot die. I am glorious and complete. Everything I've searched for is all that I now am. I am only as God imagines me into existence. This is not a mental concept, but it is the truth as it has been discovered. The search has ended, for I have found who I am and who God is. I am is God, and God is what I am. This is the awakening of self to itself. At the awakening, there is no pain, no thoughts that produce pain, no dis-ease, and no confusion. just peace and assurance. I look out at others with the eyes of God, without any judgments held against them. I look at my responsibilities with the eyes of God, without dread or regret. At the appearing of my true self, the mind becomes subject. There is no room for a separate view of self. The mind is completely consumed by the image of God as self. Thinking is not needed. Precognition is not needed. Discovery is all that is needed. And that is who I am. And so it is. And so it is. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Ah, that feels good. That feels good. That feels good. I was thinking about this on earlier this week, yesterday, as a matter of fact, how that, you remember when David spoke to his soul, and he said, "Soul, why thou so cast down?" Remember he said that?
Yeah, I just said that Sunday.
He spoke to his soul, and it's important because there was a he that spoke to his soul. And we all know, we've always said this because for those of us who taught spirit, soul, and body, we know this. The soul is made up of the mind, the will, and the emotions or feelings. So he spoke to his mind, he spoke to his feelings, and he spoke to his desires. There was a part of him that was not his mind, not his feelings, not his desires, but it had the ability to master the mind, the desires, and the feelings. So that tells me this: what we call the higher self, pure self, true self, real self, what have you want to label it? We are that, and we are the masters. We are the master of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we're the master of our mind. We're the master of our feelings. And then I began to kind of look at how and what motivates this unit that I find myself to be. And I realized that for the most part, feelings is what motivates me.
Mm-hmm.
So and at that point, I began to discover the parameters of the mind. The parameters meaning what the baseline of the mind, what the mind uses to make a conclusion. Either or. It looks at what makes me feel good versus what makes me feel bad. What makes me feel safe versus what makes me feel endangered. What makes me feel happy versus making me feel sad. So those are the only parameters. It's an either or machine.
Mm-hmm.
So if in fact something's happening that makes me feel, my soul feel bad, the mind will conclude that something is wrong and out of place. And then there will be a decision made to act based on those feelings. So I just kind of analyzing the way we work. And I realized that in order for me to, and I don't want to say successful, to be successful, but in order for me to reach my full potential, I must override the feeling, the moment of wanting to feel good, and look toward the outcome. Because if I just go on how I feel right now, I'll give you a real simple example. If I've got dishes in the sink, and I do right now, I got dishes in the sink. I don't want to wash those dishes because it doesn't feel good. But if I look at the outcome, when I finish those dishes and I look at the sink, I feel much better.
Mm-hmm.
So my motivation should not be do what feels good at the moment, but to look toward the outcome and what's going to feel better when it's accomplished. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it makes sense. It's funny that you use that example because I'm with that with dishes. I can't. We don't like leaving dishes in the sink overnight.
I
So
really don't, but there are times when I do. But
yeah.
but it's because I will not master my feelings at that moment because I choose to just go with whatever's most gratifying at the moment. And Jill calls it delayed gratification. Yes.
Yeah. When you was giving that description in the beginning, I immediately had this impression, this image of us driving a car. And
Mm-hmm.
so we can see our true self being the driver that is mastering the car, which is
Mm-hmm.
symbolic of our emotions and so forth. So again, the car is created to get us from point A to point B, but it's not going anywhere unless there's a person that's in it driving it and
Mm-hmm.
leading it
Mm-hmm.
in the destination that it wants to arrive. And so that's
Yeah.
what our true self is doing with our emotions. When we master our emotions, our feelings, our minds, we should be in control and it not be in control of us.
Yeah. But for me, I'm speaking strictly for myself. I think for the better part of my life, I have lived based on my feelings and what instant gratification. And
I believe
instant
we all have.
gratification, yeah, and instant gratification will shipwreck you.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, when my brother was living, I helped him to get some things from different agencies because he was at an impoverished level. So we had to use different agencies to help him get food and and medications and all of those things. And in the process of doing that, I remember seeing the same people going to different agencies that my brother would go to. They were the same people every week. Uh, and I noticed there was one young lady who came. She had 3 children. She was deaf. Her husband was deaf. And all 3 of her children were deaf. She would go and she would take advantage of what they were giving her. And of course, that was to help her get by. Now, when I first saw her, encountered her, she looked very disheveled. Her hair wasn't fixed. And she looked very, very poor. And so, but when I saw her after the first of the month, she had her hair done, she had her nails done, she had her makeup on, but she was still at the agency looking for
Mm-hmm.
help. What she did when the money came in, the instant gratification was, I'm going to go get my hair done and my nails done. Why? Because it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
So that instant gratification was preventing her from getting ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether she sees it or not, I don't know. But that's what a lot of us have done. And we've
Mm-hmm.
lived by those feelings. What is the good feeling that I'm trying to get right now? And so a lot of us, even on this spiritual journey, we have thought that if I don't feel a certain way, I don't have it. I haven't arrived yet. And it has absolutely nothing to do with your feelings. You are the master of your mind, your aspirations and desires, and your feelings. You are the master of that. And that's why David spoke to his soul,
Mm-hmm.
the psyche. He spoke to his psyche. And there's the Greek word is suke. which
Mhm.
where they get the word psychology from, which is what the soul is. He spoke to his psyche and said, "Why are you so cast down? Why are you depressed?" Because he realized, or not realized, he was the master at that moment of his soul.
Mhm.
So we are, if you think about it, we are that higher self that is
Exactly.
given the responsibility of not only mastering this soul or this psyche, but controlling it and animating it and motivating.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's funny that you mentioned that topic, because for the past 2 days I've been dealing with individuals on that topic of allowing their emotions and their feelings to control them. And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes our emotions and our feelings can literally not just lead us in the wrong direction, but lie to us as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so I begin to put questions out there to them as to, based off of what you just said, because I mentioned that Sunday, what David said, why cast down on my soul. Why you think the way you think? Why immediately when something happened, you assume this versus this? So you have to now ask yourself, what is leading you? Is it your true higher self, or is it that lower self, which we refer to as the ego or the mind or the id, and so forth.
Yes.
So again, Paul made a statement when he came to the place of enlightenment. He said, "Those that are led by the Spirit are the sons of God,"
Yes.
or make a
Yes.
reference as offspring. And so we all are the offspring of God. But the thing is, at any given moment, which identity are we embracing and walking in at that particular time?
Yes, yes, yes. And I like what Carolyn says. She's given an example of her life, and it's so true. She says it makes sense. She said, "I've seen the same issue with dishes on the counter. Last night I felt like washing the dishes, and this morning I felt good seeing that the counter was clear in my head." Yes, yes. And Linda says, "Considering who we are, why can't we have it all? There is not God and it is only God." Yes.
No, that's funny, because I just read Ephesians 4 and 6 before we got on the broadcast, about where it says, there's one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just read that before we got on the broadcast, because I was thinking about that, how God is in everything, and why we say it when we talk about the omnipresence, he's omniscient. The word omni means all,
Mm-hmm.
and then we turn right around and we speak separatism. Right? I mean, right
Yes, we
after
do.
we done
We
mentioned
do.
that he's in everything, and then we
Mhm.
separate ourselves again. So
Mhm.
yeah.
It happens all the time.
Can a rose smell itself?
Hmm.
Nope. A rose cannot smell itself.
I'm trying to get the mic closer to you so
I
you
didn't
can
even
hear
hear
me.
what he said.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear what he said.
A, can a flower smell itself?
No.
When Jesus is around, you don't smell him, you know him.
Hmm.
When you know him, you don't look for him. When you look for him, in order to see him, you'll die.
Hmm.
Death to the seer, seeker, and the finder, and the desire, because who you are is an undercover agent who was designed to be and not be noticed by the ego.
Hmm.
If the ego notices itself, it is the ego that's noticing itself.
Okay.
If you're going to walk this walk, there can be no dead bones dragging and on the side of it to draw your attention away from your true identity.
Mm-hmm.
That means everything in the memories must cease to exist about the past. And that can't be done by talking, preaching, singing, and praying. It has to be, it has to be, it has to be the silencer is God. The silencer is not God showing anything. Jesus walked, you walk. He don't, you don't. You do because he is the doing. He looks
Mm-hmm.
down at his feet, and the ones he look at his feet, they disappear. That's why he could walk through the door without being noticed, because he didn't notice himself. There was no self notification of him being anything other than what can't see him.
Exactly.
I hope I said something.
Well, you did. And
And if
I
I
love what you
did, if I said something, then I will cease to exist.
Well, that's the question is, what is it that hopes that we said something?
It's dead too.
said. Mhm.
Let me read something to you. This is out of a little book we have. It's called, let's see if I can put it up here. You gonna play something?
That's the tears of loneliness. No
Mhm.
man shall see God
And live.
and live.
Exactly.
Mhm.
This you cannot do. I have time to read it. Okay. This is in this little book. Let's see if I can put it where you can see it. It's called Beyond Awakening by Jeff Foster. I always like to tell you guys what I'm reading, and I'm not reading this front to back. It's just we refer to it because we got so many books around the house. But this particular chapter I read the other day, it's called A Deadly Message. It said, who can stand this message? This message points to nothing less than the destruction of the seeker, the annihilation of the one who wants answers. This message is death, and who really wants to die? That's why this message is rejected so often. Nobody wants to hear that everything they think they are, and all their hopes and dreams and ambitions and achievements, all their so-called past experiences and all their plans for the future and their relationships, everything they take to be part of their life is nothing but an illusion, a story, a play, a game, a dance of awareness, a playing out now. Everything they are is nothing but a thought, perhaps not even that. And who would want to hear that? You cannot hear this message. You cannot understand it. You cannot get it. The mind cannot annihilate itself. The mind cannot see past itself. All attempts to get this message are nothing but the mind trying to get the end of itself. Do you really want to die? Of course you don't. Everything you take to be yourself is nothing but a fight against death, a fight against impermanence, a seeking for something more than is obviously simply presently the case. What you take to be you gives some idea of permanence, gives some sort of feeling of a life story extended from the past into the future, and gives comfort in this seemingly terrifying world. But what reality does any of that have? My life story is a story that's arising now. My past and my future are thoughts arising now. What you take to be yourself has no more reality than that. That's why we can say that this life is simply a play of appearances. There is an apparent individual, but on closer inspection, there's simply nothing here. Still, let's not deny appearances. Only an appearance would deny appearances anyway. Yes, this message is death, but in that death, there is also life. Life was never separate from death in the first place.
Exactly.
I thought that was absolutely good.
Exactly.
Absolutely good. And so true. And so true. Nobody wants, the mind doesn't want to hear this message because it's its own demise.
You'll walk to a place and God will turn around and look at himself as you for the last time. And for the last time, he will speak to nobody else but himself. That's the mystical side of no voice.
Yeah, I got a couple of comments I need to address, Pastor, here. Sissy says, back from when we were talking in the beginning about the mind and gratification, she said delayed gratification teaches patience. And that's what we use when working with the kids. And she does education. She says that's what they use. Now, Linda says this, to overcome the mind by using the mind is like pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. It's impossible to do. Yeah. I did another analogy or analytical took a deeper look at what the mind is. We said that the mind thinks, but this is what the mind actually does. The mind predicts, it plans, it analyzes, it manages, it assesses, it interprets, it reasons, it investigates, it concludes, and it searches. So, and there's probably more to the mind than that. But the feelings are the driving force. Because I don't care what comes through your mind, if it doesn't make you feel a certain way, you will not act on it. You will not act on it. So the feelings are the driving force. So I thought about this. I said, when Jesus was driven by the Spirit into the wilderness, there was an urge, an unexpressible urge in his feelings that he had to get into a place of solitude, where he could overcome his thinking mind. He was driven to find out who he was apart from that mind. And that mind is who he encountered when he was in the wilderness.
That's awesome that you said that, because that means that his feelings and emotions was actually in alignment with his true self. So it became one. And so when we think about that, when we, even like with the car, when your car is out of alignment, it would just go wherever, it'll go astray. So you need to work and bring it to alignment, and that takes more than just you yourself. That when you take it to a mechanical, where that's what we're doing in the spirit, because in scripture, the best way Paul could explain, he explained that there was a mind of the spirit that would intercede on behalf of the saints according to the will of God. So that's bringing it back to alignment with the true self, and not it once again controlling who he was.
Yes, and I thought about what Dad had taught earlier about the pony motor. In the case of Jesus being driven into the wilderness, our born again spirit, or our spirit, or us as a spirit, has its own driving force. But when the Holy Spirit kicks in, it can fuel that and catapult you even further. And so I think what has happened in a lot of cases, particularly those of us who came through the evangelical, charismatic, spirit-filled churches, we have gotten accustomed to having God kick us in the behind with some extra fire to get us to do some of those things that we really desire to do. And so when there is no kick in the butt, it's like the motivation is not there enough, it's not strong enough to cause us to go ahead and push through the feelings of what's the feelings? The lethargic feelings, the indifference. And so then we find ourselves stuck in a place where we don't have enough desire to cause us to push through some of the impasses that we've had.
That was a desert cab that ran out of gas. And they was when the cab ran out of gas, they tried to put gas in it. And it was stubborn. It didn't want to take it. So one of the drivers said about the desert cab said, here's what we're going to do. You go to the front of the camel and grab him by his ears. And we're going to go to the back. And when we get to the back, I'll give you the signal to force his head down into the water trough. But here's what we're going to do. When I give you the signal, said I'm going to pick up 2 rocks back there on the back end where those 2 bags hanging down. He said, I'm going to clamp them together. Wham. And when I do that, you put his head down the water. That camel sucked up the dust, the dirt, the sand.
All of a sudden, the camel was motivated to drink.
He got full of water and gas.
But it's funny that you said that motivated drink, because he was conditioned. He had certain factors that had to be in play to condition him to do that.
Yeah.
That thing will holler and scream and squirt water.
So, that's a good analogy, because that's what has to happen to a lot of us. Sometimes we have to have a good swift kick in the butt in order to get off of our stool of what I call do nothing, just to get out to get past the impasse. And for a lot of us, it's health scares, things that take place in our bodies that force us into a healthier lifestyle.
Your son and daughter and the baby, your grandbaby, will see a 3rd World War. We won't. We'll be right on the eve and the rim of it.
On the cusp of it, yeah.
The crest of it. The crest of it. By the time they get to be our age, we'll be on the other side. That's a sad thing to say, but Trump is being used as a catalyst to spearhead what they call the Russian-German one world control. If he don't get voted in as president in the situation that he is, that'll mean it'll be prolonged just for the season. They talk about the second coming of Jesus. We won't see it on this side. We'll be it coming from the other side. I saw that this morning in my sleep, that there will be a great suffering if these things are to take place in our generation. So it's not the matter of time, it's the matter of the saying in the scripture that says, when it pleased God who revealed me to took me from my mother's womb to reveal his son in me as me. Then
Mhm.
you'll understand the second coming of Christ in all of us.
Mhm.
For that revelation of being Christ must be revealed in the earth, and Christ will die again as he is dying now with the suffering of those people in foreign countries, with the floods and with all the rain and the suffering and the souls of children, the blood that is being washed down through the streets of Egypt is now flowing again. And it's
Mhm.
not going to stop until it covers the whole earth.
Mhm.
Men will not be able to come to grips with peace outside of the Prince of Peace. In the earth will cry out the Cain and Abel, the blood of our brothers will cry out in the earth once again for the Third World War
Mhm.
through computers and through suffering. I saw that this morning.
That's confirmation. That's what I've been sharing with others as well, especially after the meeting between the president, the dictator, I'm gonna say that way, of North Korea,
Uh-huh.
along with Putin, and they came
Mhm.
together and they built an alliance. And so I began to share with everybody that everything is strategically being put together for there will be a third world war.
War.
Definitely. Even with the weather systems, we are just in the beginning stages. There are going to be more unusual weather systems. We need to prepare ourselves for another. And again, it's not to alarm anyone.
Mhm.
No,
It's to
no,
be alert and very
it is.
aware and so forth. So there are major things that's going to happen. But according to the words of Jesus, again, that would be the beginning. That's not the end. That is the beginning of the sorrows.
Sorrow. Yeah.
Well, and again, like you said, it's not to make anyone afraid or anything like that, but to make them alert. Not only that, to cause them to be sober. We can enjoy, like, I think about the summer months. We often think about, I'm going on vacation, I'm going to do this, and I'm done, all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in the midst of it, there should be a sobriety where you realize that something may interrupt your plans.
Hmm.
And
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 that's
then
why
there
we
may,
be very careful.
yeah, and not only something may interrupt your plans, God may interrupt your plans. He may say, don't go. And then, if we're not flexible enough and able to hear him in those whispers, we will sometimes find ourselves in a place where we may have some challenges that we didn't expect.
And if I
Uh,
allow me to add this, even with our finances right now, people really need to consider putting their savings, not just in a regular savings, but into accounts that are much better with the interest rates and accumulation on your money. And so they need to start thinking about that now. They really, I've been sharing with my congregation, they need to look into getting real property, um,
Mhm.
trying to buy land, because these other companies, they know what's coming and they're trying to buy up
And they're
everything.
doing it. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
many people fall. And it's funny because you mentioned about instantaneous gratification. Because I get
Yes.
text messages and contracts in the mail almost every single day of people wanting to buy my property that I bought next to my mom. They just paved the road, which means everything on that road now, the value of it went up, and
Hmm.
they keep asking me what I consider, and I keep telling them I'm not selling my land, all right, because I'm not crazy. I know what's happening and I know what's about it. So if you don't have no real property, you have no leverage, and so now
That's
you
true.
become a slave to the system. And
Hmm.
so that's why I've been telling everybody to really get with some uh, very astute financial consultants concerning investing their money, putting their money into money market accounts, not just regular savings accounts and stuff like that, so they could draw more interest on their money.
And
Are
that
they interested in buying your mama's property?
Are they interested in buying my mama's property?
The one, the house where your mama lives, right next to that land?
Oh, they interested in buying everything over there. She gets the letters as well, because like I know for here, this area is one of the fastest growing areas in the state of South Carolina. I mean, this is and for all of this that's going on, and they're saying that we really out of money, we don't have no money. So we're saying, well, if there's no money, why are we seeing so much activity of building, all of these different buildings? They're building more apartments than there are actually subdivisions and so forth. So again, because of what's happening here, they're trying to convince us to sell our property. But again, like I said, I'm not crazy, I'm not ignorant, because if I immediately accept what you're offering me, again, instantaneous gratification. I'm looking at the money, I'm looking at the dollar amount. I'll accept that, but you're going to turn around, flip my property, and
make
make
more.
5 times more than what you offered me.
And
see,
that
that's
church,
what to be aware of.
and that church that you're now using, is there a living quarters in it?
No,
With it,
With it, yeah.
no.
Is there a place in it where there is to be more space for office management than just one room?
Oh, well, the place that I have service at, it is a very big church. They have several classrooms, office space, fellowship hall. This is a big, just not a little church. This is a big church.
How long has it been there?
Oh, I
Was that
got to
before
go
you
back.
were born?
I've been over, probably, I want to say, if not over, but close to 100 years. They might be older than that.
Well, you ain't quite
See,
that
but
old
they had to
yet.
but they had to they remodeled and rebuilt the church a few years back. Lightning struck the church. Like I shared with you guys before, my family was kind of involved, especially my uncle was involved in building that church, the architecture work and so forth. And then when they remodeled the church, and then a few years ago, lightning hit the church and the church was on fire, and so they had to redo the church again. But like I said, this is not a little church. This is a big church.
Who owned the church?
I would have to look into that as far as if they own it, if they're still
Is it a
paying, or if it's
Baptist?
paid off.
Is
Huh?
it Baptist? Is it a Baptist, a Methodist, or what?
No,
Build.
it's a Reform Episcopal church.
Oh, I saw a man today come out of Staples. He wore a priestly black outfit from shoulder to crown. It was the blackest robe of a priest that I had ever seen in person. I was hoping that when he come out of the parking lot, he would have turned and come toward me. That man looked like he was 7 feet tall. And where they got the cloth to make that outfit he was wearing was absolutely immaculate. Just solid. It wasn't light black, medium black. It was the darkest black that you could be black in.
You just gave a
I saw it.
description. You just gave a description of the monks here in our area. Most most monasteries has if not one individual, maybe a couple of individuals that actually allow to leave the grounds to go
Yeah,
do the shopping and stuff
they're not
for
allowed to leave. They're
huh?
not allowed to leave the grounds.
No, something. Most of them are not allowed to leave. Again, just like you have different denominations, you also have different religious organizations when it comes to monasteries as well,
Yeah.
the culture of that particular group. But here they have a one particular person. He actually lives in a house that's close to the entrance of the
Yeah.
monastery, and he's allowed to leave the grounds to go get whatever resources they're needed, grocery store, whatever, and bring it back to the monastery. Beautiful place, humongous place. They used to actually do eggs, farm eggs there. And then the environmentalists came in and shut their activity down, because that's where my
Wow.
grandfather used to go. We used to go get our eggs from there all the time. I mean, a beautiful
Yeah.
place. When you gave that description, that's actually what they wear. And like I said, there's only one individual that's allowed to leave the grounds to go do whatever needs to be done
Well,
for the mom.
he was the strangest looking creature coming out the store. And I looked at him and I couldn't get to him, but he was driving one of them little bitty hot rod cars. So he wasn't wasting no time getting away, but he was the tallest man in the blackest robe I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And he walked like he was walking on air, like he walking on water. Maybe that's just my imagination. It's just
No,
my imagination.
running away with you. You about to
They
sing?
just
Running
ran somewhere. Yeah, yeah.
but
Anyway,
yeah, but going to what you were sharing earlier concerning giving what we would classify as a prophetic forecast, that is another thing that we need to become aware of as well. Not only are those things are going to occur, but there's going to be much supernatural activity as well. And
Mhm.
so, even as you was mentioning that, whether it was or not, one of the things that I know for a fact, because I have been experiencing it, where I know I have supernatural entities that show themselves every now and then, or I can feel their presence. I
Mhm.
was sharing this with someone, actually my daughter the other day, that um, going back to what we talk about again, is like we ebb in and out. One moment we're so awake and enlightened, we can sense everything, and then we go back into ourselves. Well, I was telling her I remember this place before. All right,
Mhm.
I've been here before, where I
Mhm.
was very aware of certain things to the point that even now is incidences where I don't want to use the word read, but I'm aware what somebody is thinking at that moment. I can actually hear their thoughts. Um,
Mhm.
Even in Sunday service, we had what we would call a move of God, where I had just told a young lady, I said, I just heard this in the spirit. I said, I want you to throw your hands up and say, Lord, I thank you for my job adding money to my check. With Before I could walk back to the front of the church, she had a cell phone. I don't know if she just got a text or whatever, but her where she works, they mentioned that they had given her a bonus, and it would go through either today or the next day. All
Wow.
right, so we have been here recently. I've been having those experiences where I can sense someone walking with me. I just haven't been
Mhm.
saying much to anybody, because again, when you start functioning in this place of awareness,
Mhm.
some people think you're weird, so you got to keep your
Yes,
mouth
they
shut.
do. They do. They do. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so
Yes,
we're
that's so good, Pastor. That's so good. I had just shared with him, and forgive us, guys. We're kind of on our own private conversation right now with Pastor Norman. But I had just said to Dad last week that I felt Spirit saying to you to even go deeper in those spiritual activities and phenomena, to go ahead and go into them. It's going to step up. And like you said, it already has. It's going to step up even more for you. Now, I've got comments I've got to go back to. Linda Langdon said this: we have to really know what we don't want to really know what we do want. Duality's purpose to have the experience good and bad. Yeah. So and I like this. This is she said as well. She said, "I am a lily of the field. God is my sufficiency in all things. Everything I need will be supplied, as the need arises without effort. And all things are possible because of who and what I am." Exactly. So even those of us who don't have extra money to look into land and don't have extra money to do put into high yield CDs and all of this stuff, we are lilies of the field as well, and we are all being taken care of. The main thing now is to be more frugal and to be more cognizant of where you place your money, how you spend your money, how you move the currency of finance. And Pastor Norman John Greason said to you, "Move very slowly, Norman, and let it prove itself."
I'm
Talk
not
about
aware.
the land. He's talking about the land, I think. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
but that's actually what I'm saying. I'm moving slowly. I'm not going to move fast on that. That is what I'm telling other people. Do
Mhm.
not settle for what they're offering you, because I know anytime, especially where I'm at, for them to pave our road, we know that something is going on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there used to be a big old ranch that is adjacent to my family property, where they used to
Mm.
raise horses and stuff like that. While I was in North Carolina with you guys, they had got rid of all the cows and the horses and everything, and they started selling the dirt. All right,
Selling
for
the
different
world.
entities that was going selling the dirt. They was digging the dirt and taking it, and in doing so, they created this big old lake. So now what's about to happen is that they're getting ready to build houses. I promise you they're getting ready to build
Around
houses.
the
And
lake. Yeah.
if it's around the lake, it's going to be considered waterfront property.
Waterfront property. Exactly.
So that's why
That's
that's
true.
why I'm,
That's true.
that's why I'm not going to sell my property, because I know you may give me this assessment, but by the time they finish what they're doing back there, I know the value of my property going to jump sky high. So
But where's
no,
the water going from?
I'm
Where's the
not
water
getting
coming?
it.
Where's the water coming in from?
Where it came from, the ground when they dug so
Yeah, but I'm
deep.
saying, about, is it a
Till,
way for is there a water inlet where the water
no,
comes into
no,
there? Oh, okay.
uh-uh, uh-uh.
I thought
Now,
maybe something inlet water pier
based
or
off of
something.
what they're doing here, because we know not too far from us, matter of fact, I would say about 5 miles from me, they're getting ready to build a very large water park. That's what I said.
Ooh,
All this area used to be rural and farmland. It
okay.
is not that anymore. Literally, they're buying up everything. And
Are they gonna
so
kill all the alligators?
we have alligators here, so you know that.
They gonna
We
kill all of them?
well, the thing is, you know this, when you know forests and stuff is being torn down and trees
Oh yeah,
we're
that's
now
something.
seeing and we are now seeing animals that we didn't even know we had here in the Carolinas.
Oh boy.
We're seeing all kind of stuff because again you're destroying their habitation, and so they have to migrate somewhere else. So there is so much that's going on, and that's why I was telling the people. Matter of fact, years ago, and I remember the year I told my church gave the prophetic word concerning what was going to happen in it. It was in 2006. A couple was asking me concerning selling their land, and I told them don't sell it, hold it, because
Mhm.
something was about to happen in this area that's going to cause the value of your land to skyrocket. And showed up.
Can I ask you a
Yeah,
question? Have you got a picture of your daddy?
I do.
Does he have a mustache?
He does, or had.
When you were younger, he had a mustache.
He used to. We used to call him Shaft. He kind of reminded us of Shaft back then. You know.
Uh, he's looking at you. I saw his mustache on your. I I saw his mustache on your face.
On my face.
Yeah. And I asked him, I said, why are you doing this? He said, I had a mustache when I was younger. And he said, he wanted me to see what you look like being him as redemption of a son to a father.
In all actuality,
Heaven
the picture
is
I have of him
is home.
is a young picture. The
Yeah.
picture that I actually have is a young picture.
I see him. He's looking out your face. I felt him look at your face and he said, like that. I saw his mustache come through your face. Well, that's pretty good. I guess if you can handle that little boy look and handle that daddy mustache tickling your nose, because I could see it. It's really there. I see him in your face, here in the cross, like that. Okay,
All righty.
I'm
Gotcha.
finished. Okay, when y'all coming up this way?
Listen, guys. Look, we have I don't know how many people listening to us, so we can't have personal, private conversations the whole time. I'm sure they will do just this. So we're gonna take off here because I think he wants to have a conversation with Pastor Norman.
No, that's
And
okay.
we'll see you next time on Sunday. Thank you for tuning in to us. And if you would take the time to send something, we would appreciate it. And Pastor Norman can also be blessed to send him a cash app if you have the money to do that. That'll be wonderful. And you can express your abundance by giving.
Can you do something for me, Mom? Because that is exactly what I was telling everybody here in my congregation, where Jill has up their big business or buying up real estate and turn more people into renters. And that's exactly what I was sharing. They want us to be renters. That's why I said to be enslaved. So we won't own anything. We'll be renting. And that's why they're doing more of apartments rather than the houses.
Yeah. All right, guys, we've been here for a little bit and we'll see you next time. We're going to say goodbye here. Bye-bye.
See you later.